Vinaka, and welcome to Gold FM's Speak Your Mind. I'm Pideli Rokhtibuna, and it is edging closer to Christmas, and our talk will revolve around, issues that are pertaining, shoppers, consumers, and also a little bit of entertainment later on the show. But we welcome, first off, on the show, the, CEO of Consumer Council of Fiji, no stranger to Speak Your Mind, of course. Welcome to the show, Mrs. Pramila Kumar.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Now, again, we're speaking of, the issues and the rights of consumers. And Christmas is always a time of the year where I'm sure the Consumer Council of Fiji gets very busy too.
Oh, we are extremely busy around this time. And unfortunately, this is the time when staff also take leave. Because if I don't send them on leave, then they are in trouble. They can't carry forward their leave. So it's a question of juggling. How do you deal with the complaints with less staff?
And how have you been dealing with the complaints this season?
It's just crazy. I mean, I thought whatever I planned for the day, I'm not able to deliver for that day.
That particular day?
No, I can put everything, prepare a checklist. But as soon as you reach the office, you get few calls, you get few customers, clients coming in, and the topic is different. And sometimes that particular issue can take a couple of days to solve. So you are into another zone altogether, on another issue altogether, very much far away from what you planned for the day.
Well, we're edging close to the end of 2014, an issue that has come up. Well, I actually spoke of this earlier on the breakfast show, and that's the rush of Christmas and also finding parking space, especially in the capital city, where the bulk of Fijians have gathered also with, this being the shopping central. And I spoke of this because of an incident with a colleague. But then I realized after the show this morning that the Consumer Council of Fiji had also issued a press release regarding parking space in Suva.
Yes, we did, because we know that around this time of the year, people rely on public transport, but sometimes the public transport also play up.
That's right.
So they rely on their own transport. So if they're going to go in their own transport, surely they have to look for a parking spot. And parking spot is very difficult to find, and if you do find one, it's very expensive. And sometimes it's not even worth bringing in your vehicle.
It's funny that a survey of this hadn't been done before, but I guess with the rise of those who have motor vehicle users now and the rise of motor vehicle owners, it's really great timing too for Consumer Council to do this.
Exactly. Every year we've been analyzing the brochures. This year we decided to look at loyalty card, and we also decided to look at the parking. And cost of parking, the reason being, consumers started complaining, like they were calling the council and saying this is ridiculous. Why are we being charged a rate just because we entered the car park only for 2 minutes or for 3 minutes, or there was an advertisement in the paper. We saw the advertisement, we went to buy the goods, but the goods are not there, and then we are expected to pay extra money.
That's right.
For patronizing that shop.
That's the similar incident that happened with a colleague, which prompted us to talk about this. And now I ask you straight off, where is the most expensive
the most
parking spot?
Expensive car park is Tapu City car park.
Really?
It's just crazily expensive considering the Fiji situation. We're not in Australia or New Zealand. What it says is that to get 1 hour free, first 1 hour free car parking, you have to spend $20 minimum.
At their store?
At any of the stores, it can be in a restaurant. In other words, whatever bills you have, it must add up to $20 so that you can get first 1 hour free. And after that, $2.50 per hour. And if you don't have any receipts, then you pay $2.50 for an hour.
Now, even if you come in when you leave within that hour, you're still paying the $2.50.
Correct. Even if you just entered the car park to drop someone and you are exiting the very moment, as soon as you come down, you have to pay $2.50.
Now, that's quite expensive.
It is expensive, and people were mainly complaining about takeaways.
Yes.
Because they drop into just to collect the takeaway and
Yes.
take it to the
Take
office.
it to the office.
So whatever the takeaway amount, because if you're an individual or just two of you, surely you're not spending $20.
That's right.
It will be less.
That is-
So in other words, whatever the cost of your takeaway, you have to add $2.50 for car parking.
for car parking. Now compare this with the rates for other car parks.
Other car park, I mean, the next most expensive is Roops. Often we feel that Roops, saving the poor in the country. But when it comes to car parking, not really. Minimum amount you have to spend is $5. And if you don't have a receipt, you pay $2 per hour. So that is their rate. And I found MACC very reasonable and practical because they don't have any minimum amount. You can just buy a chewing gum. You can just buy your Fiji Times or your Fiji Sun, or you can buy anything.
Anything that's important.
Yeah. And that can give you 1 hour free. And otherwise, $1.50 per hour. But the best, of course, is the Motor City and Sports City, which is free. So
Now,
that's the best.
what would be the a resolution you'd put forth, the Consumer Council of Fiji to put forth to these business owners?
Well, what we're asking for is that it's only fair that they must give 30 minutes free car parking. Reason being that not always consumers go there for shopping.
That's true.
Sometimes they go there to get a redress because they have been handed a faulty product.
That's right.
So should they be penalized twice? One, you are already upset about the product they've given you. You're wasting your time to take that issue to get a solution to that problem. And on top of that, when you're leaving, you are asked to pay car park.
For those who don't have vehicles and probably listen to this, they don't think of that too much with those who own vehicles. And when you think of the cost of having to come in, it just exacerbates the problem that you already have, especially when you're asking for a redress, that sort. Now, what other conditions are consumers are to look at also when looking at car parks? What do you think? Sometimes because consumers perhaps just choose a location because it's closest. But would there be, say for instance, for Suva City Council or other town councils to look at, perhaps in terms of for the future, in providing better parking places?
I think so. Definitely with urban drift, more people coming into the cities. And now people can afford cars. So obviously the need for parking increases. And any municipality should be able to provide that because at the end of the day, people come to city for many reasons.
That's true.
And they need a place to park their vehicle.
On that note, we'll be right back after this short break. We continue our discussion with the CEO of Consumer Council of Fiji, and we'll be talking about shopping and something else, online shopping here in Fiji. Welcome back to Gold FM Speak Your Mind, and we continue our discussion this afternoon with the Chief Executive Officer of the Consumer Council of Fiji, Mrs. Pramila Kumar. Now tell us, we also had a specific incident that's just happened recently with regards to online shopping here in Fiji. This is a developing phenomena, a shopping phenomena, relatively new to Fiji per se, and this involves a particular page on Facebook that actually uses to sell their items, Vakaviti Fashions. I believe the customers came to Consumer Council of Fiji first to complain about this.
Yes, we have received official complaints from customers. And as part of our investigation, when we went to that Facebook page, we found that it's gone. There is hardly any information.
So they've removed everything.
They have removed everything, and that's an indication of a fraud.
It's fraud.
Because if you are in genuine business, you'll never do that. And the fact that you have removed that page altogether and just left the skeleton out there, obviously people are concerned because after all, Christmas period, they have placed orders, and maybe some of these orders were meant to be Christmas gifts.
That's right.
and now just 2 days away from Christmas, you don't receive your order, obviously you'll be upset about it. And the fact later on you find out that that page has gone and you don't know who these people are, that means your money is gone as well.
Relatively, how much have the customers had spent sending their money to the page?
Well, some of the payments that I have seen, they have paid quite a substantial amount of money. And generally, the items that were sold on Vakaviti Facebook, it ranged from $15 to $150.
That's quite a lot of money.
That's quite a lot of money. But being a fraudster, the biggest mistake they did was bank transaction.
Okay.
Because that can be money trail, can lead to the culprits.
Now, I believe the investigations is underway, with the police is also now involved.
Very much so. We would like to see that consumers who have been cheated, they get a redress. So for that, we have contacted Financial Intelligence Unit, because they also deal with money laundering and they have the powers to track money. And we also had a meeting this morning with Transnational Crime Unit. So I'm sure with these two institutions, whoever is behind this company, they will be caught and they will be taken to task. They can't get away with it.
So the financial transactions are being tracked. How do we consumers guard ourselves from this for future?
For future, when I was talking to Financial Intelligence Unit, this is a new piece of information, at least for us, and maybe for the public as well, that when you are in doubt about a letter that you receive or a company that is open online, you can get a free screening done by Financial Intelligence Unit.
Really?
They can check for you and tell you whether it's a genuine company or not.
Okay.
For any scams, you know how we get letters from overseas.
Yes, especially from Nigeria. And
Yes.
Yes,
As if your uncle is living there.
That's right, yes.
Yeah. So you do get all those kind of scams, yes.
Even the lottery ticks that sometimes come through from various companies, yet we still receive phone calls asking how much can we really win with this? Yet people still believe in those ticks.
They do, and we are also dealing with a case where a family has parted with almost $4,000.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
So with all the information that is being put out, we still have people following through.
This is where my disappointment comes in, because we have been doing a lot of awareness raising in this area. Shows like this, radio programs, with television, print media, whatnot, even our Facebook, our website. Everywhere you'll find all this information. But I don't know, when it comes to situation like this, there is always this element of trust. In Fiji society, we are very trusting. We just trust one another. And this is where we are more vulnerable, because we will not have any element of doubt. We'll just say, yeah, that must be correct.
Is this what you find from the work, in the line of work that you're getting? Is this a common cause?
Very, very, very common. And they feel shame. They feel ashamed to even ask the question, because if they're going to ask the right question, they feel that they're offending the other party, not realizing it's your right to find out, because after all, it's your money.
That is true.
Before you part with your money, you should know whom you are giving your money.
That is absolutely correct.
But unfortunately, they don't do that, because in their mind, if they're going to ask all these questions, they're offending the other party.
Which is a custom that we need to change.
We have to. We have to, and we are not doing that. I just don't understand why we're not doing that. In this day and age, you can't trust your own children when it comes to money matters. Why do you want to trust a builder? Why do you want to trust a landlord? Why do you want to trust, your neighbor? I just don't understand.
That's true. Now, I was going to ask, because it brings to question another issue with the hire purchase accounts that loads of Fijians actually uses, especially those who aren't in low-income earners who make payments to various department stores. How do we get the information, and in terms of when you sign up for the hire purchase account, do you have the right to ask for more information on how much exactly you are supposed to pay?
You're right, because one of the rights for consumers is right to information. And the reason why there is something called right to information is because the consumer will always have limited information as compared to the other party who is selling the product, will have full information. So there is a requirement that the other party must disclose all the information, right? Even if there is a scratch on the product, you must show it to the consumer. He or she will make a decision whether to buy that product or not. But as a consumer, you have right to information, and the most important information before you even decide to sign on the dotted line is a pre-disclosure. You can ask for a pre-disclosure where the hire purchase company has to disclose all the information, like the brand of the product, the capacity of the product, the warranty, what would be the cost of borrowing, what is the interest rate, how many payments you have to make, and how much would be each payment. All the details is given to you. So once you have a pre-disclosure, say from one company, then you can go to another company, get another pre-disclosure, take all these pre-disclosures at home, in the comfort of your sitting room, and with so many people around you, you can go through all that and then make an informed decision. But that is not happening, because most consumers will walk into the shop, they'll point the item, and they will say, I want it to be delivered today.
Well, on that note, we'll take another short break. We're getting really interesting here. And with the discussion on goods hire purchase accounts, I'm sure many of you are familiar with these issues. Feel free to also call up in studio right now, 3220906 and 3220907 with questions or comments. You can also send them through to goldfm at fbc.com.fj. Welcome back to Gold FM's Speak Your Mind, and we continue our discussion with the Chief Executive Officer of Consumer Council Fiji, Ms. Pramila Kumar. Now, we also touched on hire purchase accounts. Now, in the search or the bid by different department stores for better deals, and also a search for it from customers, some have assumed that these loyalty cards and loyalty points that many now offer are actually saving them money. Now, is this so?
Correct. This is what the thinking is. And even when you talk to your friends, and if they have to make a decision where they're going to buy their goods, they will also always say, okay, I better go to this particular store because at least I'll get the points.
I have 3 to 4 cards from different places and I will be honest, yes, I do. It's influenced heavily how I shop.
So it is, you start doing shopping for points rather than for discounts.
Right.
So our research has shown that it's better for you to get the discounts immediately than to go and accumulate your points, because when you redeem those points, you hardly make any savings.
But aren't the goods that you get for them worth the amount of money that you've spent will cover for that discount?
Not really. No? We have seen that you are able to save just about $1 if you spend $100 or even more. Really? When it comes to loyalty points.
So it's not what it's
not worth it, because there are some stores they can give you at least $5-6. If you're buying $100 item, they will immediately give you discounts. And there are some loyalty programs. If a product is already on specials, right?
Yes.
You can't redeem that particular product.
That's right.
At that special price. You can only redeem it at its original cost. So again, you're losing out, and it's not making sense. But through our analysis, we found that at least Tapuz was offering a better loyalty program to great extent in terms of redemption, etc. But still, the amount you're going to save is still not enough.
So on in the whole gist of things, it's better off getting the full discount. And especially at this time too, when
exactly, because you can see there are so many other stores who may not have any loyalty program, but surely they are competing for the same dollar, and therefore they're putting out advertisements and brochures and whatnot, enticing consumers to go and buy products from their store. And in some cases, the products are heavily discounted. So why wouldn't you pick an item from that store? Why shouldn't you? Should you be saying that no, because I'm a loyal customer of a particular store, therefore I should go and buy this product from that store so that I can get the points, and when I get the points, I can redeem it for something.
That's right. That's how I think.
That's very long process. But when you look at the redemption rate, it's not very appealing. Like, for example, you spend 2,000, I think it was 2,000. If a customer spends $2,000, he or she will get approximately $25 redemption.
So that's not much of a saving.
Not at all.
So
we're living in a false...
In the false sense of saving and false sense of winning something.
Correct. The only advantage of being a loyal customer sometimes is that they invite you for special promotions.
That's right.
And sometimes they also give you extra discount for being a loyal customer. Or sometimes they give you double points. But even when you look at point distribution, like for example in JEX, you have to spend $4 to get 1 point. So it's not $1 per point.
It's
$4 per point. So it differs.
It is.
But then JEX has got another good quality. They'll just give you, when you are redeeming, they'll give you the voucher, and you can buy any product in the store using that voucher. Unlike other loyalty program where they have a catalog, the items are fixed, and you can only buy those items.
Yes.
So it differs from store to store.
Oh, in a nutshell, we've got to look for the proper discount and really don't rely too heavily on the loyalty points.
Correct.
Now,
look for discounts and also try and bargain. This is the time you can. And although some stores will often say that no, it's a fixed price, but when you start talking to them, they do come around.
Now, we're heading into school next year, and January is just around the corner after Christmas, and there's going to be the back-to-school stationery rush. Now, there has been some word from consumers rushing in to buy their books and things for their students or items for their children now rather than January. And there's also some thought that the items will be cheaper now. Is there any truth to this, or?
It can be, considering that the duty has gone up on exercise books, and obviously the old stock should be sold at old price, right? And the new stock, there might be some differences, but we are talking about imported exercise books, not locally produced. Locally produced exercise books should be sold at the same price.
There shouldn't be any change.
There shouldn't be any change. And which we will monitor because, we have locked the prices away. So come January, we'll be doing a comparison to find out what's happening in the marketplace. But those parents who have moved out shopping, I think that's the most sensible thing to do, because at least you're trying to sort out the finances for education rather than blowing it up during Christmas and then you have no other money.
Left for them.
Yeah. And then they start relying on unsecured loan. And of course, there are a number of banks who are offering great interest rate on unsecured loan. And surely, I don't like to encourage consumers to start the new year with credits, with debt. Why would you want to do that? So live within your means should be your motto. And don't unnecessarily spend for this Christmas, In Fiji, sometimes we go overboard because we have to show people.
Yes, especially when we have family around at this time.
So we tend to overcook, like we make so many dishes and whatnot for that meal only. And the next day we are back with tea and bread.
And noodles.
Yeah, and noodles because we don't have any more money and we have run out of food.
Now, is there any other issues that at this time pertaining Christmas rush that you'd like to address before we wrap up?
My warning to the consumers, they will say, why are you telling us? Well, unfortunately, it's your money. You need to know this.
Yes.
And particularly in a situation where we don't have strong consumer protection laws or enforcement, or consumer redress, with the government's intention of setting up a consumer compensation tribunal, that will provide a lot of relief to the consumers. But the fact that we don't have one yet,
Yeah.
so you need to take that responsibility. As a consumer, you got to be responsible. After all, it's your hard-earned money. Don't be shy when you're asking for that question. Don't feel pressured if you're in that long queue and you're still asking the cashier a few questions. You can do that. Check each and every product, food item that you are putting in your basket, at least the expiry dates. We have seen that more and more products are out on the shelf which has expired, and this is the best time to get rid of the junk stock.
So obviously, some of these low prices are from expired goods too.
Exactly, because you see, this is a festive environment. People will try and put on loud music, decorate the stores with coconut leaves and whatnot, creating that festivity. But that doesn't mean that consumers should get carried away and not do their basic check. They must do their basic check to be sure. And do not lose that receipt, because you will need that receipt after Christmas if the product is not working. And without receipts, the council cannot assist you.
Well, unfortunately, we've run out of time, Mrs. Kumar, but thank you again for joining us on the show, and season's greetings to you.
Thank you, and it's my pleasure to be on this show.
And we're going to welcome you back again gladly come 2015.
I look forward to that.
Right. Thank you again for joining us on Speak Your Mind. We'll continue with a little bit of, a chat with a choreographer you may recognize right here on Gold FM Speak Your Mind. Welcome back to Gold FM Speak Your Mind, and now we welcome on the show, a face that I'm sure many of you recognize if you haven't seen her in, dancing in some production, regionally or international production, or perhaps even some of our local commercials that she's a familiar face on television too. Welcome to the show, dance choreographer, entertainer, artiste, Salote Sinukula Naulumatua. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Peveli.
Now, we're very happy to have you on the show because, we're headed into Christmas and, you're just the bright spark that you are to come and lighten up our studio, especially since we've been talking about consumer rights. And I'm just realizing how much I've just overspent. Now, tell us, now you have been dancing for how many years now?
From 2002 and until now. I had a 1-year break as I gave birth to my son.
Okay. How old is your son now?
He's 3 years old.
3.
His name is Alex.
Yeah, I'm sure he's watching this this evening or this morning. And now tell us, how did you get into dancing? You started off first with the Oceania dance troupe?
Yes.
When did you join that?
2002, yes.
Have you always been interested in dancing?
I've always been interested while growing up, doing the Running Man. And Vanilla Ice, MC Hammer, and then...
I did that very well too, Sina.
Yes, I know.
Unfortunately, I just packed on the weight.
Right, you're on a break right now.
That's right, I'm on a break. I'll get back to my dancing career soon.
And then while studying in USP, I met one of my friends, and that's how I knew contemporary existed in Fiji, introduced by Alan Alo.
Now, it's interesting you say contemporary because, in Fiji and Pacific, a lot of dancing and a lot of dance classes have been evolving around traditional dancing. Then come contemporary that incorporates the two, from modern dancing and also some aspects of traditional dancing. And how do you feel about it? How do you feel we have, made the transition here in Fiji?
I think it's very good that we've touched on contemporary, as traditional Fijian and Pacific dancing is very strong in our countries. I believe it's very healthy for the spirit to also learn about the other genres that exist and marry them together and see how it works.
How do you answer to critiques that feel that the contemporary dancing perhaps kills or perhaps has taken away the identity of traditional dancing?
There's always two sides. I know that reaction exists and will always exist, and I appreciate that because that's like it creates that balance. But sorry, I've lost the question. What is it again?
No, how do you feel about those who make these criticisms? Huh? That that this contemporary dancing is sort of taking everything away from the richness of traditional mekes, traditional chants, who aren't so positive about contemporary dancing.
Well, I've taken contemporary dancing. Well, with my group, Cooler Vibes, we're doing we specify in contemporary Pacific, and so our moves are a blend of Pacific moves and modern moves. And for us, it's interesting. So, doing contemporary Pacific for us, we find it healthy. So we, at the same time, have our traditional moves and plus the present time of music and dance, and we blend that together, and it's interesting for us, and I'm sure for all the young generations.
How do you come up with them? How do you get inspired?
I have visions. I just feel the music and with situations, with the styles that exist, and just go with the feeling that I don't know how to really explain it. I'm better explaining this through my moves.
Through your moves?
Yes.
All right, well, let's talk about those moves in productions. Now, what was your first major production?
Alive, Alan Allo's production. Yes.
What was that like?
It was interesting because I was brought up from a very strict, I would say, family. Religion and tradition is very in our face.
Very strong?
Yes. And I think probably like typical upbringing, maybe. We are not really, how do you say? Asked to express our views on things. So dancing has really helped me come out. I'm really a shy person. Every move is a fight within.
Now, how are you feeling with your Cooler Vibes? Yeah, with your production, with your new dance troupe. How many dances do you have with the Cooler Vibe?
There's 3 core dancers on the Coral Coast, which is my younger brother, and his name is Sovuni, and Ren Slater, Drew Slater's younger sister.
Okay.
And then we have another group in Nandi, but they're on a break right now because I'm not there. But Vili, I started the group in Nandi with. We will carry on next year.
What are the backgrounds of those dancers from Nandi that you have? Are they relatively young or?
Dancers, Nandi dancers are young. I think I'm probably the one that's I don't want to say the word.
You don't have to. I'm going to ask. How did you get them together?
Just they heard me come there in Nandi, and we just started spreading the word, and then they started coming to my classes.
Okay, so how many classes do you have a week?
The classes will fully go on the roll next year.
Okay.
But we're aiming at 1 class a day, so 5 classes a week.
And where do you have your classes?
Right now in Korotongo, at one of my dear friends' place, Tessa Miller and Brad. Thank you very much for your support.
Well, that's the thing with the artists here in Fiji. Yeah, you get a lot of, you support a lot, support each other a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
And how with different artists, painters, poets, and dancers, how have you felt that group? Well, with this group of artists, how have you evolved? Like I see a lot more productions now that marries the different. There's painting, there's dancing, there's visual art and expressive art. And how do you feel about what's the hope for expressive artists like yourselves?
The hope. Well, I guess probably generally speaking, with all the groups that exist here in Fiji, I think the main hope is to inspire and to awaken the sleeping talents, or maybe some dancers or artists that are shy to come out. We hope to empower them and inspire them to come out and help the growth of the art in Fiji, Pacific, and the world.
Now, you're dancing. This is, I mean, 10 years ago or 20 years ago, I wouldn't say that you could become a professional dancer as an occupation. Do you feel we've moved quite far from that?
Yes, we have, and it's still a struggle, like in most parts of the world. But yes, for us in the Pacific, yes, we have moved.
It's definitely taken you places too, as a dancer and as an artist. Now it's taken you internationally, and we'll touch on this right after this short break here on Gold FM Speak Your Mind. Welcome back to Gold FM Speak Your Mind, and we're speaking with, one of our very own local choreographers, but well-known regionally and internationally, Salote Sinikula New Matewalu, and she is actually is the lead dancer and also Kula Vibes. Well, what is it? You are the
Creative artistic director and choreographer.
all right. So. Your brother is also a dancer.
Yes.
I actually remember him from, winning a local competition. I actually remember him now. When you spoke.
I think there was a South Pacific pageant talent quest.
That's right. Yes, indeed. And he was really, really good at that. And I'm sure he's developed. I haven't seen him since as a performer. I've seen him around town, but I haven't seen him perform since. But how have we spoke a little bit about how you've moved, how artists and how expressive art has moved in the recent years here, especially in Fiji, and how it's developed. How do you feel young people are? Are they allowed a lot more? Are they given enough opportunities for these types of artistic expression?
I think it is, which is good with Tandraghani, is it?
Tandraghani.
We're really happy that that's still carrying on. Yeah.
There's also the Kula Film Awards that allows for, I think there's a dancing competition during this. Yes. And there are other, but do you feel that we could, as the education, Ministry of Education could incorporate more? Or do you feel that is enough?
That would be really good. We've always been working on that and still hoping it'll come through. That'll be really good. I think it's healthy for students to also explore their artistic side, and for that to be offered in the schools would be really healthy for them before they come out into the work field.
How do you feel that with young people now? Because when I was young, when you say you wanted to be a dancer, especially if you're a boy, it's just considered very sissy. It was just thought of as, oh no, it's a girly thing to do. How do you feel youth are about it now?
They've really opened up, which is really good. There's a lot of male dancers, straight male dancers, which is really, really good. We're really happy with that.
Now, how has, with the different cultures that we've all, Fijians, all entwined, how have you felt like the contributions from these different backgrounds?
Sorry, can you say it again?
Is it become a lot more, do you feel it's a little bit more richer now with dancing in Fiji in general, with the different backgrounds that we as Fijians give, especially with the young?
Yes, all different genres or traditional mekes and styles that exist in Fiji. Oh my God, sorry.
Well, that's all right. I kind of feel that, yes, you do agree generally.
Yes.
That, yes?
Yes.
Now, let's talk about you. Let's talk about your experience. You've, apart from Alive, your first major production with Alan Arlo, you've also worked on others. Now, what would be your most memorable when you started off?
Most memorable would be Nafanua, because Alan chose me to be the lead dancer for that production.
Mm-hmm.
So it is most memorable because I was always the center in each piece, or I had to bring out the message and the whole story.
What was the story?
I was like the savior of the land, because of modern, how it has sort of shocked us with our traditions, and we sort of feel lost. And then I was born to bring the balance again.
That's
And
back into to your environment.
yes,
Okay. How long was the production?
I believe 45 minutes to an hour.
Is that relatively how long a production is, a dance production?
Sometimes it could be 15 minutes, half an hour, 45, an hour, 15.
Now, when it's 45 an hour, obviously you've got to be well tuned, you've got to be well trained. How much workout do you put in? How much dancing?
Well, before I used to have an hour before I come to work, and then I would have an hour stretches, and then we'd have 2 hour class straight after, and then an hour break, and then another 4 hours before we.
Is it just as important to keep a healthy diet, just like athletes, dancers have to maintain this too?
Just as important, but as we're Pacific loving food, we can't help ourselves, and so then we do extra exercise to to help us.
Obviously, the food part just stuck with me, so yeah, I got to work on that bit. But all right, with productions like relatively 45-minute productions, how much preparation does it take? Is it months?
3 months minimum.
Really? Now, what would be the biggest production that you've worked at?
I would say all of it are big for me, because usually we touch on issues that that are current, which is HIV, saving the environment.
What would be one of the hardest that you've tried to interpret into dance? Which issue would that be?
I think it would be my debut production. It was called Tinangu. And yeah, it was a bit tricky because I had to, I spoke out on a lot of the truth about how we brought up. And
Did you personalize it quite a bit?
yes,
How did your family take it?
they took it well, surprisingly.
Yeah? Now, how has that you felt that has inspired the rest of your family? Since you got a younger brother that also dances.
Yes, I could see they're more open-minded now, which is good. And we're all still growing. Yeah.
How many of you in your family should I? May I ask?
I'm the eldest, and then there's another 4 boys and another my sister.
And you've got how many dancers in the family?
All of us.
Ah,
But I'm the one that has kept fighting on, and even though my family or my would say that's not giving me a living, but still I'm carrying on, and the rest are stuck in offices.
now I'm going to ask that. Okay, you say that dancing, you're a professional dancer, and you have to try and support yourself while dancing. It's quite a difficult task in the world, especially so if you're going to be in the Pacific.
Yes.
There's not many productions that we have. How is it a life of a dancer? How difficult? What do you have to do? Networking?
Networking.
Do you have a full-time job elsewhere besides dancing?
Nope.
This is it.
That's my full-time job.
So you're doing extra hard.
Yes.
What would be your message? Okay, we're just about to wrap up the show. What do you want to give? Well, what can you give to those young ones who want to join or become a dancer like yourself?
If you'd like to become a dancer or pursue your passion in dancing, music, anything that comes under expressive arts, please listen to your heart, because that's you. You want to live your life, not someone else's life or someone else's rules. Whatever works for you, especially if it's for you, do it, follow it. You won't regret it.
Well, wise words from choreographer, dance extraordinaire, Salate Sinukula. Naulumatua, excuse me, I mentioned your name.
It's okay that she's a friend as well, New Matewalu.
Well, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much, Pedro.
Good luck to with your work with Kula Vibes. Now, again, how do people get in touch with you?
Facebook, Salat Sinukul Nalumatua, or Kula Vibes page on Facebook as well.
And they can join your classes then too?
Yes, you can.
Enrollment for 2015?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Are open?
Open next year.
Ages range?
All age, even
All right.
80. I could do choreographies on that as well.
There's hope for me yet, and also my cameraman, Dan. Thank you again for joining us, and thank you, Salate, for
Thank you
joining
very
us.
much, Pedeli.
Season's greetings to you,
Thank you. You too.
and good luck for 2015.
Thank you.
And to you too. And this also wraps up Gold FM Speak Your Mind for 2014. And we look forward to seeing a brand new show again next year, right here on Gold FM.